This time I'll start at the end of the story. That's right, my story ended as a joke for my partner and for me. Honestly, I was an asshole, a complete idiot. I abused and criminally betrayed my partner's love. I did this by being unfaithful to her several times during the relationship. First, I started flirting with her best friend's twin sister behind her back, and eventually I cheated on her by having sex with my boyfriend's girlfriend. This was too much to bear and she separated from me. After more than 5 years of partnership, understandably I would like to note, if she had betrayed me in the same way, I don't think I would have been able to forgive her infidelity. Why in God's name did I break our mutual code of honor? I tried to find an explanation and the following thought occurred to me. After 2 years of dating, boredom and routine crept into our relationship, so we mutually decided to separate for an indefinite period of time, without continuing to have any obligations to each other. So, in concrete terms, that meant that from that moment on, each of us was free to go on the market again, with official permission to begin new love adventures. After just a few weeks I was suffering from our separation. My misfortune came when I noticed that she had started a new relationship with someone else, and the worst thing, her new lover was a well-known gigolo who had a reputation as a womanizer, and also the drummer of the local hardcore band with the significant band name, Dildo Brothers. The name said it all, as you can imagine. Okay, so I found out that my true love now had new sex stories with a notorious engraver, and this situation affected my honor. Well, a deal is a deal. I certainly didn't expect the new situation to cause me so much pain. I felt dishonored and humiliated, but accepted the situation and resigned myself to my fate. After several more weeks and months, she and I actually got back together by some coincidence, but my hurting of feelings has remained unchanged since then. I was never able to truly forgive her for her legitimate infidelity, and I even subjected her to punishment because of the Dildo Brother, by sexually abusing her like a piece of sheet, in order to get revenge on her. It was tantamount to rape. So, if I had perhaps had more self-respect back then, and the courage not to start the relationship with her again, it might have had a positive impact on my entire future in retrospect. But despite everything, the love relationship with her was more important to me at the time, and we started our relationship a second time. Why am I telling you this? To understand, my hurt soul is the reason for the later infidelity, because I couldn't honestly tell her. My hurt lasts throughout the relationship and beyond, but everything had started so well for us. I got to know her again at the age of 15 in cold January, when we met by chance in the children's and youth disco at the Thielman Dance School. I was there with the gang, she with her friend. That evening she spoke to me, and asked me to dance the next blues with her. I had to disappoint her. I have already promised another girl the next blues, but asked her to dance with her on the next blues. The moment came. We went to the dance floor, and took each other in our arms. We danced our first blues together. When the song went out, she said, "Now you've danced with me, now you have to kiss me too." A little surprised, I submitted to her cheeky manner, and she gave me a French kiss that I can't forget to this day. Hammer. After that kiss we walked hand in hand to her table, and joined the friend who was waiting for her. We held hands. We started talking a little shyly, and I seem to remember that we kissed a few more times in between. I spent the evening with her. When the disco evening ended, we exchanged telephone numbers and I promised her that I would visit her the following week. I still knew where she lived because she was my classmate at primary school, and we celebrated children's birthdays together as children. So I remembered where she lived. A week later I rang the doorbell at her apartment. She opened the front door. I had to go to the first floor. My knees were weak and my legs were shaking with excitement. Her mother met me at the apartment door. Shortly afterwards she showed up and greeted me with a happy smile. I entered the apartment and went with her into her teenage room, which I still knew as a child's room from earlier times. It was a very small room. She sat on the floor and leaned against her sofa bed. I took off my jacket and sat on the floor at a fair distance. Somehow, our first communication began. She had a different plan than me. I haven't had a girlfriend yet. Kissing her didn't occur to me. "Don't you want to kiss me?" she asked, slightly disappointed. I gathered my courage and followed the question intended as an invitation, slid over to her, and now got very, very close to her, so that I kissed her for the very first time. In intimate togetherness it was wonderful. The longer we kissed, the more passionate we became, and as if of our own accord, we started taking off each other's tops. Nothing else exciting happened that day, but for me, it was my first intimate sexual experience. Petting for beginners, to be precise. We kissed until finally it was time for me to go home. We got dressed. The electric atmosphere remained as she walked me to the bus stop, and will have said goodbye to us with a passionate kiss. From that day forward, no 2 days were the same. An adventure full of eroticism, love, sex and tenderness began for me. It was like a dream come true. I think, like between her and me, a love must arise, passionate and romantic. How lucky I was in life to have experienced such love. Thank you for that. A wonderful time followed, a time full of mutual love, affection, blind trust, mutual appreciation and respect, a blossoming of unconditional friendship and selfless sacrifice for each other. I could think of 1,000 more definitions. To put it simply, love was perfect. We had each other's first sexual experiences, without any desire for sexual satisfaction. It wasn't until half a year later that we had our long-awaited real sex. After spending the last few months exploring our bodies with petting and oral sex, I became a man in the early summer of 1992, deflowering in an act of pure love. I can't imagine anything more beautiful. Then things really started in our bed. We slept together almost every day, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times, sometimes even more often in a row. One can say that we were at loggerheads back then. Our love was both of our dreams of happiness. Until, however, after 2 years the air ran out and what I said at the beginning happened. The separation without responsibilities, which didn't end well, at least for me. After we were together again, the passion flared up again, and everything seemed to be going well in the relationship again. It was perhaps a year before we broke up again. At the time, each of us thought that now it was final. Although I agreed to our separation again, I suffered from the separation for a long time. I wasn't ready for a new partner. She, on the other hand, had a new boyfriend after a few months. I gave up believing that I would ever get back together with her, and let her try her luck with someone else as best I could. After about 6 months, I tried to get in touch with her again, and called her. I was told on the phone that she was in Egypt with her boyfriend. Great, a trip to Africa that was supposed to strengthen the relationship. A few weeks later I tried again with success. She was on the phone. I wanted to see her again, and I managed to persuade her to meet me at the Rotlieb disco. Just like that, I said we met. As we sat across from each other at the table, I took her hand in mine and said, "I miss you, Anke. I wish we could be together again. I still love you." Her heart grew weak, and she confessed that she too still loved me. Her problem is that she is still in a relationship with Christian. She had to end this relationship first, only then could we be together again. I agreed with her. A few days later, she broke up with her boyfriend, and became the beloved partner at my side again for the next year and a half.